Well, welcome back. All right. So when you talk about human rights, you would see that we are talking about all the rights that the Constitution sort of sets out for the citizens. You would note that Papua are privileged because we have our human rights entrenched or provided in the Constitution itself. You would note that from Section 32 onwards, you would find all the rights that are accorded to the PNG citizens. It is important to have your rights in the Constitution, basically because of the fact that compliance with the Constitution is mandatory. The government, agents, and instrumentalities of the state basically don't have the power to breach the Constitution. If they breach the Constitution, sanctions will apply. When you have your right as a citizen grounded in the Constitution, it sort of attracts a much higher adherence or a much higher respect to it. Because your rights are provided by the Constitution as supreme law of Papua New Guinea, basically you have added protection there. So in PNG, there are three categories where rights fall under. Okay, fundamental rights for all persons. These are rights that cannot be altered or restricted by the law. So for example, I've given you the right to freedom and the right to life. All right, let's say right to life, Section 35. That means that you have the right to be alive. People cannot come and basically kill you or murder you. If someone come and intentionally murders you, that is willful murder, that person will be subject to life imprisonment or be punished by death. Because the right to live or right to be alive is a constitutional right protected by Section 35 of the Constitution. All right, now you have qualified rights of all persons. That means that this is the right that's available to all people, but at times the government can restrict or alter these rights by another law. For instance, freedom from forced labor. So what happens is, like in an emergency, when there's a big volcano and all the trees are thrown over the road, sometimes the government might ask the people to please clear out the road in their different areas so that government services and transport can come through. So although it's sort of a form of forced labor, but it's sort of necessary in the circumstances of the case. But the government cannot do it randomly or at will. They must do it when and if the need arises. Right. This is a qualified right for all persons in PNG, including citizens and non-citizens. So when you talk about qualified right of citizens, these are rights that only the citizens can exercise. This right cannot be exercised by anyone else but by the citizens of Papua New Guinea. So for instance, right to vote in central public office, Section 50. And then you might say, well, why, talking about citizens of Papua New Guinea, why is Justin Tachenko and Sandri and Mutivel members of parliament? Well, these two are citizens of Papua New Guinea. They are what you call naturalized citizens. That means that although they are not born in Papua New Guinea or they have family ties to Papua New Guinea, they have come and lived in Papua New Guinea, and the government has granted them naturalized citizenship. That's why they're able to, for the right to vote and stand for public office. All right, public law doctrines. So, all the powers of government in one place, that's a bad idea. It is the inherent human desire for people to crave for power. The better idea is for the legislative, executive, and judicial to be all part of the arms of government, but to the powers to be exercised separately. So in PNG, the legislative, the head of the legislative is the speaker, who exercises and controls the House of Parliament, which is the legislative arm of government. The head of the executive in Papua New Guinea is the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea. And always note that the Governor General is the representative of the Queen. So Queen is the head of state in Papua New Guinea. Now it's the King now. Always remember the Queen has died, so the King Charles is the head of state in Papua New Guinea. And drawing on from there, the Governor General, Sir Bob Dadai, actually is representative of the Governor General and they are part of the executive arm of the government. What happens is that unfortunately the Governor General cannot exercise any powers. They cannot dissolve parliament or they cannot do anything else. They're just what we call a rubber stamp. So whatever the National Executive Council tells the Governor General to do, the Governor General does it. All right. So, and then the judicial arm of government is headed by the Chief Justice of Papua New Guinea, currently Sir Gibbs Salika, and that's the sort of head of the judiciary in Papua New Guinea. All right, then I've given you a slide there about the different sort of ways that the arms of government function, and then their accountability as well. So you see that the legislature, the entity is parliament, function is to make law, section 109 of the Constitution, and you see that the accountability sort of mechanism is they are accountable to the people. So in an election, that's when the people vote for the Prime Minister. All right, then you see the executive, the ministers and cabinet, they administer or implement laws and pass laws. Basically, not pass laws, but administer and implement the laws in the two government departments. They are accountable when they are reviewed in terms of the ministry. And the judges and magistrate, they interpret law and resolve disputes. All right, so that's basically a brief of what we covered today. Now we will go on to look at what is the overview of the doctrine of separation of powers, and then we will finish off with the topic of going through each individual body that is made up of in the separation of powers. We look at the powers and functions, and then last of all we'll cover the hierarchy of laws. So that's what the types of laws that apply in PNG. While our next class will be a close-up look at the doctrine of separation of powers.